Okay, this video needs to get out quickly because I think this is the final blow for UST. We are now at 79 cents. This is the second crash and we cannot recover to the $1 peg. Of course, the initial depegging, it was already enough of a concern, but then we could bounce back probably due to short covering, due to all the efforts that went into the ecosystem in order to stabilize this somewhat. But still, we couldn't reach the $1. And now this becomes a death spiral, right? Because the whole Terra ecosystem, it revolves around DeFi, it revolves around UST. When we look at DeFi Llama and the total value locked of the Terra ecosystem, this is just madness. We are going from 30 billion all the way down to 11.8 billion. Anchor itself lost 58% of its total value locked in the last week. And the issue is really that there is this flywheel effect happening here. When UST cannot restore its peg, nobody is going to buy Luna. Luna in the end is the rather risky option of the two, right? It stabilizes UST to a certain degree. The whole ecosystem is dependent on this, on UST being at $1. There is no reason whatsoever to get into Luna when the peg is not yet restored. There is more than enough time to get into Luna if the whole thing can reverse, right? We have seen similar depegging events in the past. We have seen similar crashes of Luna in the past, but we never really returned in a kind of V-shape recovery, right? We always had a floor for maybe 1 or 2 months until we could recover. So nobody really has to buy this dip right now. We can really wait this out. And it looks like everybody is waiting this out. And so the whole thing becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. People don't get into Luna because they want to see UST stabilize. And because of that, UST cannot stabilize. And so the confidence is simply destroyed. This is the development of the Anchor protocol reserves. Of course, mainly deposits crashing down, but also the borrowing crashing down. So a general removal of funds from the ecosystem. And so I stand by the video on Luna that I've published yesterday. It makes sense to simply just go with momentum. The volatility on Luna is massive. We've seen these kinds of drops several times. We've never seen a depegging that massive for UST though. But still, when we look at the Luna token itself, there is no need to deploy capital during such risky times. If the price recovers to a certain degree, if there will be a survival of all of this, then it's unlikely to just shoot up directly from here. We probably rather get a slow recovery, some kind of a floor. And when that floor is more apparent, then it might make sense to get in. But if you're asking me if there will be a survival, then the ecosystem is probably going to be just some kind of a former shell of itself. It's not going to get that much traction in the future. The risk has now become apparent. We now see the UST market cap at 14.6 billion, the Luna market cap at only 6 billion. So there isn't enough Luna to burn in order to push this up properly. External cash injections are required. Some seem to be coming, but maybe given this new crash here again, even the large whales might be spooked now somewhat. I think the risk versus reward is not worth it, especially on the Luna token. UST might get restored to some degree, maybe with some financial trickery. The Luna token though, why would you bet on this during such negative momentum when you can simply wait for the bottom? I think the best call to action here is simply watch UST, look for the peg to be restored, and only in that situation, if UST trades again at $1, then it might make sense, if you've got a long-term bullish outlook on the ecosystem, to get back into Luna. Before, the risk is simply too high. The whole ecosystem, the whole Terra Luna ecosystem is all around DeFi. It's all around the UST stablecoin. Without that working, you won't have a good time with Luna. You really want to be going with momentum. You really want to be going with what historically worked well. And I personally like to use moving averages for that, as shown in the last video. If you had followed that strategy, you would already be outside since the 8th of April. So more details on that strategy are in this video. See you in that video and thanks for watching this one. Bye bye.